Hey everyone, it is September 4th, 2016, and this is your Percussion episode 60. With me today are Laurel Black.
Hi.
And Megan Arns.
Hello.
And Ben Charles. How's it going?
Hi, everybody.
So our guests today are some good friends of ours, and I thought it didn't make sense to do the whole official bio thing, being that they're close friends. Joining us from Oregon is the professor of the University of Oregon and good friend, marimba soloist, virtuoso, and his wife, also virtuoso marimba solo, Yamaha artist, Marimba One artist. Just like, if you guys don't know who these people are, then you're not hip to marimba today, and that's cool, but you have to learn who Pius Cheung and Eriko Daimo are. Hey guys.
Hey.
Hello.
I just can't help laughing every time I see your face.
Yeah, you're getting some great glare too.
Yeah, I'm working on my Steven Schick.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So how was you guys' summer? What did you do? Tell us a little about what you're working on or what's coming up or something like that.
You start first?
I was in Korea for my recital, my first time in Korea. Then we went back to Japan, play some concerts and, vacation with family.
That's me, family.
My family and dog. And now I'm working on a concert in October and concerto, new piece composed by Pius Cheung, playing with Finnish orchestra. It's called Competitive Harmony.
So this is not the marimba concerto I'm familiar with. Is this something new?
I don't know what you're familiar with.
I don't know. You had a marimba concerto.
Yeah, two.
So you have two.
Yeah, there's one that sounds Rachmaninoff-ish, and one that sounds Chinese. She's playing the Chinese one.
Yes, I'm playing Chinese one.
Oh, this isn't the one with the red cloth.
Oh, that's the one, but the red cloth is gone.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
What?
Keep the red cloth.
No, because the original ending was they died. The new ending is they died and went to heaven, so it's happy.
Got it.
So, right. I dropped the knife on my foot.
I saw.
Oh yeah, 2 months ago. So I dropped
That's
it.
what you've been doing.
Yes.
Tendon. So I had surgery in the morning. She went with me, and apparently they stuck a foot-long needle in me because I had a concert that night. So they stuck a foot-long needle in me to numb up the leg, and I played that concert completely numb.
Oh my gosh.
And
But you.
like oxycodone.
How did it go?
It was actually better than usual.
Yeah. So, the key to a good concert is oxycodone for him.
Is this something you recommend to your students now?
Yes. Always drop a knife on your foot a week before. We premiere like 7 pieces that week.
Yeah.
Wow, better than usual. Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah.
So are you
great.
recovered now? How long does it take to recover from something like that? Oh, do that again. I couldn't see.
Oh wait, slowly.
Oh, looks good.
Yeah, I got a really badass scar on my foot.
Nice.
It's mostly recovered. I started running again, but I still can't feel a part of my foot.
Wow.
Hey, well, speaking of your concerto, there is a Facebook question about, let's see, what is this?
Casey, I thought your segue was going to be, well, speaking of your foot.
All right. Speaking of your foot, let's talk about your concerto. Heyston Yu says, would you talk more about orchestration in your music? How do you connect thoughts between playing piano and playing marimba? And when will you both consider publishing your next album?
Sorry, want me to go?
So, yeah, I started playing piano first. So, every time, Laurel you too. You play piano too.
Right.
Me and Pius, we both play piano too. And because of that background, every time when I play, like I automatically think each voicing as a different instruments. I think that's because of my background of piano playing. My piano teacher always sing like not only the melody top line, she always sing like middle line or bass line, so that affects me a lot. Like when I play marimba, I think that's the biggest thing for me. For the affection.
CD.
Oh, for CD. Yes, in the future. Actually, we were going to record next week together, but I injured my right hand, so yesterday I took off how to call that thing?
Splint.
Sprint. I took off sprint yesterday, so finally, so now I can start practicing slowly now, so not for a while. We cannot record for a while, but
What did you do?
I slipped. And
Oh,
yes, that was very stupid. Yes.
Oh no.
There, then.
This is the house of injuries.
No. Yeah.
I blame Kate.
Careful.
Wait, so what was it? A pianist.
Pianist.
So yeah, I grew up as a pianist more. And then I went to Curtis, and I went to school with people like Long Lai and Yu Zhou Wing, and I just gave up after that. Because, they're crazy. So, but, how it's affected the marimba, I guess it helps with the orchestration. I mean, with helping hear, I'm used to hearing multiple voices. Like there's my voice and Casey's voice in my head all the time. And I guess it helps with hearing chord progressions and reading music and just seeing the big picture. And also, I grew up. I didn't grow up in Curtis. I was trained mostly as an orchestra percussionist. So, and that school orchestra is pretty much one of the best you'll ever find because I'm thinking at least 80% of the people I played with landed big orchestra jobs are because they became a crazy soloist. So that orchestra was really good, and every week a different conductor would come conduct us from Simon Rattle to Claude Abato, that kind of people. And that just opened the mind to different aspects of playing. When I play marimba, I hear different things and how to imitate that. And okay, no segue up to the album question. I don't really want to record CDs anymore. I just do YouTube videos like Casey does.
We talked about that. Yeah, we talked about that a long time ago. So is that kind of where it settled for you? You think CD is not really worth it? It's maybe more just these single shot video, good quality recordings and published music?
Well, that's not entirely true. I did record like 3 CDs in the past 2 years. I just remember. But those weren't my CDs. I recorded a concerto, 2 concertos, and some chamber music in August. But I didn't pay for it. And they're published on Nexos now. But they're Bright Shank's music, crazy, famous Chinese composer. But for my own stuff, I just do YouTube videos, and I'm doing one of my bass reviews tomorrow. And look who it is!
Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah, for those that don't know, no one knows. Today is our dog's birthday.
Yes.
You gave your dog some terrible music name, right? Like Sonata or Rondo or something.
Partita.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How old is Partita?
2 years old.
Aww.
I have another question from Ted Jackson that says, I really love Professor Chang's book, Colors. Would you mind explaining how it came about?
Oh yeah, I discontinued that.
it's what?
I discontinued that book.
Why? I
told you.
want my students to buy it.
I'm re-editing it because I didn't really like some of the music. Over the past 5 years of college teaching, I've discovered new things, so I want to just fix it up a little bit before I release it out to the world again.
So is there any way to get the old one?
I guess you could still. I think it's still by PDF. You can still buy it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it's out
Something
there.
like that, maybe.
But no, it came about as Mike Yuda wanted me to do a dissertation for my doctorate. Yes, I have a doctorate degree. Sake.
I know, and I'm so jealous. Like you can see
Yeah.
it. I'm just like so. I feel like that's such a hole in my
I know.
life.
Of colors. So it started off as a dissertation, and actually, no, that's just my dissertation. That was the end of the answer.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, yeah, we like it. We think it's really interesting. So let's do this tough question from Michael Cerreto. He was 2 guests ago, and he is psychologist, psychiatrist,
Sports psychologist.
sports psychologist, and he says, how does your own self-evaluation and self-criticism help you continually advance as an artist? How does this same self-judgment get in your way, and how do you manage it so it does not become demotivating?
Let me start.
Yes.
Okay. No, wow, that guy's really smart, huh?
I think so, yeah.
No, so the self-judgment, of course, it's always there, and at least when I'm playing, I'm always self-judging, and usually to the level on which I judge myself is usually better than what's actually happening. Because when I listen to a recording, I've never been happy about it, especially live ones. And it's just so much doubt and so much second guessing, especially a couple of years later, and just thinking back and why did I do that? So yeah, it gets in the way because sometimes there are down days when I just am not confident about what I do. But then at the same time, that becomes a source of inspiration, just to wanting to get to the next step of bettering myself.
Okay, you can finish it up.
Okay, so the athletes are always competing with themselves, not with the next person next to you. I think that's even more in music. We're just trying to better ourselves every time. And a lot of times I also look for the self-judging thing. When I'm down with that, I listen to other people, just not Casey, because it just depresses me with the LED lights and all that mumbo jumbo stupid stuff.
I like good music people are writing dissertations about.
Casey. But anyway, it helps me a lot too when I step away from the percussion world. I just go listen to a pianist or I like taiko recently, or just not listen to anything and just step away from it a little bit when I am doubting myself too much. But it's always going to be there, and I think it's always a source of motivation. It goes back and forth. And just kind of, I suck. Okay, I'm going to get better. I suck. I'm going to get better.
That's kind of how it's supposed to be, I think, right? Does anyone else have an answer to that? Ben or Megan? Or an Eriko for sure?
I actually answered with everything.
Sure.
Like I was the same. Like every time when I even practice, there's never satisfied. Like, of course, some concerts make me very happy, but that moment is very happy. But after that, listen to the recording, then that made me very motivate and push me to practice again. And always, you all have your imagination music stuff going on in your head, right? I always try to get that sounds to the instruments, but most of the time, yes, it gets close, but some specific, like small detail I miss. That's I need to practice more and I need to study more. That's never finished.
I imagine a lot of people listening will be somewhat comforted to hear you guys even say, like, sometimes I don't like how I sound and I want to practice more. I'm wondering if either of you have something that you seem to always do when you get in a place where you're really unhappy with what you're doing. Like, do you always go for a run, or do you always, go to the park or go to a fancy restaurant or something to try to clear the air? Is there something like that, or no?
Drop a knife on your foot.
Maybe drop a knife on your foot. Yeah.
Right, so, running helps. But no, I just don't play when I don't feel like it.
Yeah, me too. I like swimming. I do swim and
Look
take
at
a
the
walk.
dog.
Yeah, take a walk with dog and
Yeah. I think it's
cooking.
stepping away is
Yes,
important.
yes, stepping away and decide how long time I need to practice. And sometimes.
Yeah, sure. Is there anything you do like right there and then in the moment? You know, like you're getting unhappy. Do you just let yourself get unhappy and then stop, or is there something you do to kind of graduate back down from frustration? Because I know Mike Cerreto is really interested in that. He's really interested in the type of therapy we do while training. And also away from training, but yeah, is there some tip or trick you use to like bring yourself back into like the good mode you practice in?
I listen to other people.
Yeah, but not Marimba. I listen to other music, like orchestra or piano,
Mhm.
other instruments, and sometimes guitar. And I do meditation too.
You do meditation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
So I had a quick little thing to add to this. I feel like it's a common thing. A lot of people say, like, when I listen to my own recording, like, I'm never happy with it. And for me, like, I have that same syndrome or whatever. When I hear my own recording, I can always find all the mistakes. But it's interesting to me when I listen to other people's recordings, like even professional albums, I'm only listening to enjoy them. I'm not really listening with a critical ear. And like a great example of this for me, like growing up in high school, like I got some Evelyn Glennie recordings and they sounded great to me. And then when I would go to learn one of the pieces that she had recorded, I would listen to it and go like, wait a second, this isn't right. But then still, when I stopped listening so critically, it's like, wow, that still sounds great. So it's interesting to me that I think our level of self criticism, it seems so much higher than when I listen to other people's recordings. Have any of you found the same thing?
Yeah, definitely. And even sometimes, even if it could be perceived as a mistake or something, sometimes I'm listening for different interpretations, right? So like when you're listening to yourself, maybe you're trying to make a different interpretation, but often you know what you want, and if you're not getting it, you hear that, you know? I don't know.
I think we just all hate ourselves. No, yeah, I mean, we're just trying to be self-critical. That's human nature. When we're listening to other people, we're always listening with an open mind. We're not kind of nitpicking, find mistakes, but just human nature to better ourselves.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Eriko, you're judging a competition soon in New York. You want to tell us a little about that?
Yes. This is. Let's see.
So the 2016 New York International Competition?
Yes, you have to play all the instruments, not only marimba. You have to play snare drum, setup, marimba, vibraphone. And in the final round, you can do recital. And if you win, you can get some money. That's good.
How do you feel about judging snare drum?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm very excited. I used to play snare drums a lot, especially at the university or high school. Yeah, high school mostly. So, and now I'm started looking the snare drum books again because I have to do judge.
Did you know Eriko used to play trumpet in marching band and also play harp?
What?
I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You still have your trumpet?
Huh?
Do you still have your trumpet?
Ah, yes, in my parents' house. Yes, I do. I was very bad.
But the picture looked really cute, with the Japanese hat.
Oh, well, for the Casey about the judging snare drum, I think because I probably don't have as much as technique as the most of the participants has more technique than I have on the snare drum. So I can probably focusing on their music, not only technique. You know, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, as they certainly need someone to do that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Who
Yeah,
are the
what
other judges at that competition, Eriko?
Dan Druckmann, Pablo.
Riecki and Dominic Doneto. They are from all New York.
Okay. And
Mm.
everyone judges everything, right? Everyone, all four of you are judging all
Yes.
instruments and all rounds?
Yes.
There's
When
a,
is the application deadline, Eriko?
It's September 10th. It's coming soon.
And the competition is October 8th?
Yes.
And 9th?
October 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Okay.
Yes.
there's a great article by Rob Knopper on sitting in on, like, I think it was a violin audition, and you know, he talks about, like, I'm not a violinist. I didn't know if I would know what to listen for. And then he said that, like, every single round his pick was the exact same pick as everyone else on the panel.
Yes, that's, yeah, absolutely, it makes sense. We are made for the music, not only technique, so.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys, we may have talked about this a lot on the podcast, but you got to talking about judging, Casey, when you were with Nana and Theo, I guess. Do you guys, Pius and Eriko, do you like judging competitions?
No.
Yes and no. Like for me, competition is something like not compete to each other or neither like we judge, more like we are sharing music and for the young generation, young people, there are so much opportunity to play in front of the people, in front of the musicians. When I was young, I didn't have so much opportunity to play in front of people. So that's why I came to the competition and I met many friends and we share the music and also repertoire and like advise each other, and that is very important for competition. So when I judge, yeah, I have to judge, but I was more like learning from the competitors. So that's why sometimes we have to make tough decisions because that's competition. But most of the time, I just enjoy listening like young generation people's music. So yeah, how about you?
So Eriko grew up doing a lot of competitions and won a lot of them. I did zero. I did piano competitions. I won, but I never did percussion. So my mindset towards it is kind of different, I suppose. 'Cause
I did the piano competitions too. So.
yeah, but I didn't do percussion competition. I didn't even know they had percussion competition.
No, I saw your name on
Oh,
the
yeah.
Belgium competition.
Yeah,
You
I
know, you
applied to Belgium competition and I just ditched it. Just
He
didn't show up.
Yeah.
What?
But,
Yeah, but I saw his name when I won.
yeah, I just didn't show up.
You saw that she was going to be there, and you're like, no way.
I just ended up partying. But I don't know. I guess. So I guess that maybe that's why, at least to me, usually judging competition, I'm kind of like Gordon too. Gordon always picks the one that no one picks, and so do I. Because I like the quote unquote oddballs that play the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you know, when we're judging, a lot of times, of course, the big and soft, the big players who also plays really, you know, the fortissimo piano, fortissimo players, they stand out. But the ones that really stand out are the lyrical ones that just doesn't try so hard and let the music speak for itself. But then if you do that too early in the competition, you might get lost in the crowd. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
sure.
that's kind of tricky for me. So I enjoy it and I don't sometimes. But I think it's important for at this point was that when given the opportunity to do it, because I want to give younger people a chance to show the musicality.
That's a good line that you just said.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, we'll get to do it at PASIC. I hope that we do it and then we get to a chance to discuss. That's where I think my favorite part of it is hearing. I feel like I learn the most from the other judges, but a lot of times you don't get to discuss, and other people don't want to discuss, and they don't want to share, so it's impossible. But that's always my favorite thing. Speaking of New York, since this competition was in New York, you guys both transitioned from this like two very different lifestyles. The first one being super hypercharged in New York, and then to Eugene, Oregon, which it's not like that's the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's a big place, but it's nothing like New York. Can you say something about making that transition? And knowing you both personally, I watched each of you have hesitation, saying like, "Oh man, it's going to be so hard to leave New York." And I watched you both do it one by one. And I guess I haven't checked back with Eriko. Like, are you liking the smaller place now, or do you still really miss New York?
I still go back to New York once in a while because doing the master classes at the New York University, so that's keep me to go back and forth between New York and here, Oregon. So that's good. But for me, I grew up in the countryside in Japan originally, not from big city. So like city like this is like make me feel very comfortable. Like, yeah, of course, less concerts compared to New York or Boston, big cities, but like more relaxed, and I can focus what I do when I'm in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people are nice, and we can have big space. That's good. In New York, we cannot have like this. Yeah.
You thought she's kind of lying there. She likes it and not on day depending on the day.
Yeah.
But I grew up in Hong Kong, so that's as big as it gets of a city, and I like it. Because I keep telling my friends the price of my house and how big it is. They're no, I hate you. Because in Hong Kong, you pay $5 million, you get a 500 square feet apartment, and that's kind of run down.
Right.
But, the decision was easier for me. Oh, we gotta clean the gutter. But the decision was easier for me because I got a job, so I had to go. It was between that or, the fun freelancing thing was nice, but I broke my tooth in New York and I couldn't afford to fix it because it was $5,000. And now, after I got the job, the first thing I did was fix my tooth because I had health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a good 4 years. I didn't have health insurance.
Yeah, we all went through that. So it's just different stages of life. If I was in my 20s now, I might not enjoy it as much. But in our 30s, it's nice having a house, a car, a dog.
Yeah.
And it's not like we don't travel a lot. I go back to New York like twice a year or something too.
Well, I think a lot of, especially young listeners, think of you guys as, these constant traveling performers that are, and always in the big cities. And I think it's, it does kind of spin this image of, oh yeah, you got to go to New York. If you want a career, if you want to be anything, you got to go to New York. You got to go to Hollywood if you want to be an actor. You got to go to Boston if you want to be a musician, or New York. And that's less and less true nowadays, right?
More or less. I think in New York or big cities, you meet more people.
Yeah, and of course more concerts and many arts, many things are going on. So very exciting.
The Eugene Symphony is good, but it's not New York Philharmonic, so there's a little bit less to do, a little bit less to learn. That's why a lot of my undergrads, I suggest them to go to a bigger city to do grad schools, because it's different when you are able to hear the Philadelphia Orchestra once a week.
Yeah, of course. Well, and I think for that experience, for exposure, it's really important, and for education, it could be really important because there's the teacher and there's the ensembles that you hear. But I mean, I remember living in Boston. I heard about freelance opportunities, but they were booked up. Keith Aleo had them, Sam Solomon had them, Nancy Zeltsman had them. I think the only freelancing I did were community orchestra groups out in Lowell or out in where's the one you worked at? Waltham.
Hmm.
They were little community groups, which was the same thing I'd be doing here in Harrisonburg, or there in Eugene, Oregon. So I don't know, it seems deceptive. So I think to learn, yeah, sure. And I always tell my students, try to go somewhere just really different. If you are from New York City, yeah, go to Eugene, Oregon and study with Pius Cheung. I don't really tell them that, but that'd be an example.
But have you ever thought about the religious stuff?
Huh?
Maybe you just kind of stuff. That's why you didn't get those grades.
Joke. Hey, sorry, it's kind of hard to hear you guys. I hope it's okay. Hey, Pius, tell us a little about your mallets. And I know, we want to advertise your mallets a little bit. Your mallets sound. What? Oh, sorry. Oops. These are. Oh, I'm sorry. These are.
Those are the toilet bowl cleaners, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. These are my mallets. My bad. Let me grab. So yeah, tell us about your.
Look at my mallets.
Oh yeah, look at them all. Look at them all broken. Look at that. Look at that. Hey, these are the originals I got at the launch of the series. So these are at least 2 years old, and they're still.
They're like toilet bowl cleaners. But no, mine actually sounds better. A little bit balding.
A little worn.
A little bit balding. It sounds good like this now.
Yeah, no, I like.
Sell them that way, pre-worn.
I like the sound of yours better like this. Like that sounds pretty good.
Oh, is that a new piece?
Yeah, be careful. I don't know.
So it's come to this.
I wore a shirt for you.
Oh no.
It's authentic. It's like authentic Asian hot sauce.
Oh yeah.
Casey, did you trick Pius into eating spicy pizza too?
Oh man, poor Ben. I think you guys do spicy pretty well. Ben, you do spicy okay, but yeah, I tricked him into eating spicy pizza while he was here, and
No, I don't eat spicy food at all, and Casey tried to kill me.
Yeah.
Ben, I take that pizza and put crushed red pepper on it. That's how
I know. I was there, and then I tried to eat it and died.
Your face was just immediately red.
Yeah. Sorry, Megan. What was that?
What is on it that makes it so spicy?
It's a sriracha pizza sauce.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think it's straight sriracha, but it's pretty spicy.
And there's spicy sausage, and they put some like pepperoncini or something on there.
Yeah, there's hot
And then
stuff on it.
Casey adds pepper flakes.
Wow.
Had
Pretty
no
intense.
taste whatsoever.
What are you guys cooking lately?
Oh, she cooks.
But you cook too. Do you still cook?
I cook much less now since she came here.
So
Much less with knives now.
Oh yeah. Nice.
maybe now that you can walk again, you can start cooking again. So I want to tell everyone just a nice story about you guys, because there was winter break, Boston Conservatory, and they locked up the building. And at that point in my life, I had to practice every day. I was still at that point where it's like it was sort of an addiction, and if you don't practice, you start to feel really odd. And the building was locked for a month, and there was nothing we could do. So you guys fed Jimmy and I almost every night. We hung out, and I remember, Eriko, you made a lamb shank. Pius, you made meatballs, and the meatballs are really good. I think you should still make meatballs.
What's Jimmy doing? Let me share a Cangelosi story.
Uh-oh.
So a couple of years ago, we went to Taiwan.
Yeah.
This guy, when he got off the plane, I met him in his room. And, where's your luggage? He's got a little bit backpack. Got like 3 pairs of underwear and a broken plastic bag. Inside was a one snare drum stick that's all beat up. Like, where are your sticks? That's all I brought.
Yeah, that's all I needed. Yeah.
And like 2 LED lights, and he played the concert like that.
Yeah, it was an easy gig. They just wanted those. They just wanted those two pieces.
Yeah, no, and a shirt that's got a hole in it.
Yes, just like a hole.
Yeah, I think I still have that shirt.
No, that's trash.
Yeah, no, nobody cares about any of what you're saying.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Something similar happened in Italy too. Do you remember when Pius made you wear his shirt in Italy?
Thank you again. Yeah.
because your shirt smelled. I was just doing it for the crowd.
Yeah. Should we get back to some real questions?
Okay, so wait, the three of you, were you at Boston Conservatory at the same time? Is that how you originally met?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Sadly.
Yeah. And Pius, and now I'm starting to wonder if we can use this episode because I think the audio might be kind of weird. But Pius, I'll tell you, he's Etude in E minor that everybody plays, and I went up to him and I said, "Hey, can I? Is there a way to get the music for that? I'd like to play it." And he said, "Oh, well, you can try." Like that.
No, I didn't say that. I said you could play faster.
No, that was after you saw me do it. Then you saw me do it, and you were like, "Holy crap, this person can do it!" And then you were nice. Yeah,
That was the test. That's the only way to be your friend.
that's right. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's okay. I'll edit that part out. It sounds about right, Eriko. Right?
Yes.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds like him. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Not very nice sometimes.
He's
No, you're nicer now. Yeah. No, you've gotten better at it.
I can just see Eriko asking, "So can I play your concerto?" And he was like, "You can try."
Oh, no, you don't do that with the wife. I want to eat. I want to stay alive.
All right, let's get back to a real Facebook question. There is one real simple question. Javier Pavita asks Pius and Eriko, "Do you have any advice on your Etude in D major?" Right?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Eriko plays that better. Ask her.
You do play that really well.
What's the question?
Any advice to play my D major Etude?
Practice slowly. That's it. Practice slowly.
Mm.
I think it maybe let the music guide you rather than being overwhelmed by the technique or thinking about how the hands should move. Think about how the music should dance. I remember I asked Keiko Abe once, like, how she played Prism so fast and her hands are all tight and she's like all small and I asked her, "So how do you play that?" And she just kind of looked at me and smiled and said, "Think about birds." So I looked at my friend as, okay. But that actually makes sense. I mean, instead of thinking about how you play that fast or how you move the hands specifically, just let the art and the music guide you.
You mentioned some advice from Keiko. Do either of you have particular musicians or percussionists or marimbas that you look up to?
Keiko Abe.
Who are your inspirations?
Yeah, Keiko Abe and Evelyn Glennie were the earliest that, maybe I could do this. And Mike Burritt, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, speaking of other marimbas, Ben, you were going to talk about someone today?
Yeah, so I figured since we have two of her former students on and then two of our regulars are her former students, we could maybe use today to talk about Nancy Zeltsman a little bit. So Nancy Zeltsman was born in 1958 in Morristown, New Jersey, which when I read that was really interesting to me because Lee Howard Stevens is also from New Jersey and was born 5 years earlier, so actually pretty close quarters for those two. And she studied with Ian Finkel in high school, who's very well known as a xylophone virtuoso. And after she graduated high school, she went to NEC, New England Conservatory, where she studied with Vic Firth for 2 years, or I guess 3 years, 1976 to 1978. And then she took a little hiatus and came back in 1980, and she finished in 1982. After her sophomore year, she was a percussion fellow at Tanglewood. That was 1978. And then upon graduating from NEC, she studied privately jazz improvisation with Dave Samuels. And then kind of in the mid-1980s is when her career as a solo artist started to take off. From 1983 to 1987, there was this series of concerts called Composers in Red Sneakers, where the gimmick was that if you showed up wearing red sneakers, you got into the concert for free. And she said that actually the concerts often started late because there was a line of people so long out the door that they couldn't get everyone in time for these concerts, which for a new music concert is pretty rare to hear about. And then also in this kind of time frame, in 1985, she formed a marimba duo called Marimba Lynn with Sharon Leventhal, and they performed regularly for about 11 years. In 1993, she began teaching at the Boston Conservatory, which is where all of our four friends here today studied with her, and Berklee College of Music. And then in 2001, she held her first marimba festival, which at the time was the Princeton Marimba Festival, and then the second iteration of it, and since then, starting in 2003, and almost every year they've held this festival, was the Zeltsman Marimba Festival. And then, according to Casey and Laurel, that's also a great place to find a spouse. I can't speak to that personally. And the ZMF faculty has included Gordon Stout, William Mersch, Anders Estrand, and Jack Van Geem, who's been there almost every year of its existence. And then a lot of composers have written works related to this festival or independent of that festival for Nancy. Some of those composers are, it's kind of like a who's who in composition today. Paul Lansky, Alejandro Viñao, Steve Mackey, Gunther Schuller, Michael Tilson Thomas, and Paul Simon, the Paul Simon that you think of when you think of Paul Simon. And Nancy has recorded 3 solo albums, 3 albums with Marimba Lynn. She's recorded a concerto with the Boston Modern Orchestra Project and a duo album with Jack Van Geem. So quite a big figure in marimba playing in particular, and also in pedagogy with obviously quite a few successful students.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks, Ben. Yeah, good info. Where'd you find a lot of that?
It's kind of cobbled around from quite a few sources. On her website, she actually has all of her PAS articles she's ever written available. So a lot of it I kind of pulled from those, and then her bio, of course.
Yeah, very cool. Pius said a few minutes ago that the person he would choose is, the one who really stands out. I feel like when I look at the generation of marimba players before us, I feel like Nancy does stand out. She's very, very different, and it's very her way, which is really appealing as a student. And
Pius was talking about Keiko Abe earlier with kind of the technique follows the music, and from what I've heard, I've never studied with Nancy, but from what I've heard, a lot of it is like, so how do you play Merlin so well? It's like, I don't know, it's just how the music goes. Like, she's not like much of a technician despite her very good technique,
Yeah, well, and I know I've pushed Pius and Eriko on master classes we've shared on this, because I've heard you guys say that type of thing before, but I think you guys are very, very technically able. So there's got to be something more. If someone's picking up the mallets for the first time, it's not going to be enough to think about it a certain way. That doesn't mean your hands are going to suddenly do it, right?
Well, before I answer that question, I have a sidetrack question. Was yes, ZMF is the Match.com of the percussion world.
Yeah.
Because me and Eriko met at ZMF 2003 also. Way longer to marry her.
You had to make some money first.
Oh yeah, so that's also one of the reasons why I thought Eugene, Oregon is okay. Health insurance, I can afford to get married.
Now, Pius, are you bitter about the last name thing like Casey is, or no?
What?
Are you bitter about the last name thing like Casey is, or no?
So bitter.
She's just a little girl. Who cares? But no, we just talked. We didn't really talk about it. She asked me, "Do you want me to change my last name?" I said, "No." "Do you want to?" "No." "Okay." That was the end of that.
No, that's how ours was too. Ben's teasing me because I tease him about
He
never
teases
going
about
to
it.
PASIC.
Yeah.
No, we had Gwen Dees on, and I made a little joke saying, "So you're not Gwen Burgett anymore, you're Gwen Dees." And I said, "Laurel, you notice how she took her husband's last name? What do you think of that?" And, yeah.
Then she punched him in the face.
People involved, right? It's just a pain that's not worth it.
Well, I think Nancy to me is very much like your quintessential eccentric artistic personality. Like she's real quirky. She's really stubborn, and that she'll do it her own way. Case in point, stopping halfway through undergrad and then doing it again. And she told stories about, I think it was when she was undergrad or just finishing, she would make her own mallets, and she would buy all these wooden dowels at the hardware store and cut them up, and then, you know, like put the discs on them, and that she would have on the floor all these little like mallet making stations, and she would just have this little garden of dowels upside down balancing on like the kind of cylindrical heads, and then she would wrap them. And so yeah, I think when you say she's different, I think she really is quite different. She's quite an individual in like every possible sense.
I also have never had a teacher that was never interested in talking to me about technique. You know, I played my audition for her, had my first lesson, and she said, "Yeah, okay, your technique's good. We don't need to talk about that." And we never did for 2 years. And I know a lot of people listening go like, "Well, I don't get it. What do you mean? What did you talk about?" It's like, no, there's plenty more to talk about, like Pius and Eriko have been saying. And
so
I think Nancy's been championing that for a long time.
I have a question in that regard for the four of you that studied with her. One thing that's really unique to me about Nancy Zeltsman's students is that all the ones that I've encountered are very good, but she doesn't. It's not like she has her stamp on them. And I can think of another very prominent percussion teacher that all of his students, you can tell, oh, that person studied with so and so, but she doesn't seem to do that. But still, everyone seems very successful in their own way. So can any of you speak to that, like how she accomplishes that? I mean, I'm sure not making everyone play with her same technique is part of it, but that can't be all of it.
Yeah. Do you guys have a guess as to how she does this?
I think she just let us roll on free in our studio, and it's also important how I think maybe the type of student she chooses. She just kind of, it's in Boston, it's usually, at least when we were there, it's a melting pot of very different personalities, but none of them are really the type that goes just one way and that's about it. We're all very open to different ideas, and you know, every month, every other week we had Marimba parties?
Every month?
Was it every month?
Every month, I think.
Yeah, it's you know, her guidance with a bunch of the right people and just putting it into like a creative environment that's kind of, you know, people became who they are because, you know, they just influence each other in different ways.
Can you explain the Marimba party?
Excuse me?
Can you explain the Marimba party?
Oh, it's studio class with a fancy name.
We have to create something new every month in front of each other. That's in a maybe around the same size room or like our practice room. This tiny little space we have to play in front of 10 people or something.
That was scary.
Yes, it's very good practice. The acoustics in that room was terrible, and the lighting, of course, bad, and at that circumstance, you know, and playing, it's very hard, but it's very good practice. And after playing, like everyone discuss about the piece and playing and music. That's very wonderful idea.
And at the same time, Casey's passing me funny notes, just kind of.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. Yeah, there was a lot of bullshit. But that's good. I think that's the personality thing you're talking about. I of course I can only speculate, but I like what you said about it has to do with the people she chooses, of course. And I guess there should be something said about, you know, this old idea of the one they always seem to pick on is Harvard. You know, Harvard doesn't make these people who they are. Harvard gets these people because of its reputation. They're already the certain way. But I think what Nancy does is she gets those type of people and then doesn't, you know, has the patience and the wisdom and the foresight to not mold them into a replica of herself, whereas some teachers say, oh, you do this different, and they make you start from zero. And I think it's maybe even more unconscious than that is just the fact that she just kind of, I think, just does what she wants to do. She talks about what she wants to with the pieces. She doesn't have a real specific checklist of, okay, you're playing this piece, so you got to do this, this, and that. It's just more what she wants to do. So I think that personality and that type of approach is really contagious. So it lets each one of us kind of keep our own identity.
Like, and as you said, she's such an individual herself, so that would make sense that, you know, that's what she's cultivating naturally.
Whoa, so maybe we are a copy. Oh my God, Megan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. I'm
Yeah.
an outsider, so I can see that.
And it's similar, just like a very quick question, I guess, but like when we were talking with Gwen a couple of weeks ago, she was saying, you know, a lot of Robert Van Hise students study the Klatt style with him and so on. Do Nancy students study like Lansky and Vignau with her, or like from what I understand, it's very much you just kind of do whatever you want?
Oh yeah, at least when I was there, it's free to do what you want, but you'd be silly to not study her rep with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think I ended up doing a lot of projects that she didn't do first. Like I adapted a lot of stuff and would do these theatrical pieces, and she was just like, "It's great." And that was about it. But yeah, and I think the rep thing is something that helps her to develop all of these individual players, because at least for the master's students, one of her focuses, at least for us, was figure out what your rep is, because it's not necessarily mine and it's not necessarily Kochka's or, you know, whoever's, but what do you like to play? And you only figure that out by playing a lot of stuff. And so I feel like that's a major part of it.
Yeah. All the times I get students going to me like, what should I play? I just never asked that question when I was a student. I just played what I wanted and asked teachers for advices, but the teachers never really just, you're playing this.
Right. Yeah, I think I had that to a fault. I think it got better as I got older, but my undergraduate teacher, Dennis Griffin, was probably really my, you know, if I have to say I have a one teacher, it's definitely him. He just had the most years with me, and when I was youngest, and middle school, high school, even elementary school, and then through college. But here, your assignment is this, and I'd go, okay, and then end up doing something else, you know, even maybe a bigger project, but it wasn't what he assigned. And he was like, wow, what you did was really good, and that's a lot of work, but I wish you'd just kind of do what I say. So it's like, and my problem with Nancy, I couldn't keep up with how much she wanted us to learn every week. Like, you got pianist, drummer, like did not take piano lessons ever, you know. Drum set was the only youth instrument, and then snare drum, and then keyboard came a lot later. It was very hard. I think she's used to a student that can learn a big piece pretty quickly. And
so when she'd look at you and she'd say, "Okay, what else you got?"
Oh right, yeah. Oh okay, yeah. What else do you got? And I'll just be like, what do you mean? Could someone?
That's always the worst, when you play something really hard and your teacher just looks at you and go, "All right, got anything else?" Because Merce did that to me all the time too.
Yeah.
With my students sometimes too when it's good, but you know, that happens once a term or so, and those are my happiest lessons. Oh, that's good. Yeah. You got nothing else? Let's go for coffee.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with the teacher doing that, of course. That was always the difficulty, is, you know, getting enough done in the week.
Can we sidetrack to another thing?
Yeah.
Now, you talked about, you know, pianist, drummer. So we learn keyboard music so much faster, and for us, I write keyboard music a lot faster. But recently, when I write drum music, I'm so slow. Like, so very slow. Like, Casey can crank out, like, one new, like, whatever metronome piece in, like, a week. It takes me a whole year to write, like, anything drummy. It's just, you know, I have to think so much differently, but I thought it was just an interesting thing of how different minds work, is of how our different upbringings. And actually, when I listen to Casey's music, I can tell he didn't grow up as a pianist.
Yeah, because it's like one chord, one chord, one chord, one chord, five.
Wrong chords. That's the problem. But anyway, when you listen to my drummy things, which there aren't that many yet, but I'm working on it, you can tell I didn't grow up as a drummer because I don't have anything fancy to offer.
Sure, sure. But your multi-solo we love.
Mm-hmm.
And did you do your bongo and tape piece?
Oh, that's gone. That turned into just a solo bass drum thing without tape. I'm recording that tomorrow.
Huh.
Without tape, okay. Yeah.
Because tape was just way too much of a pain to figure out.
It's such a pain. It's really a pain, especially if you care about. Yeah, yeah. I've got a long PowerPoint lecture about my development of learning to make some of the tape pieces, and of course, by a lot of composer standards, my tape pieces are probably really easy to make. So yeah, I think
do you still think it's a pain piece though? Like after kind of figuring out your process, do you still think it takes too long? Yeah.
Yeah, I still think it's really, really tedious, especially because the more you learn, the more you want to do, and the harder you can, the more work you end up putting on yourself, which is, at least been my experience.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
speak of the timpani solo, do you?
I have a timpani piano piece for Bill Shaltis, actually. He says hi.
Oh, I remember that.
No, we're sidetracking in the writing thing. I've never found interest, or actually, I've never found a timpani piece that I actually like a lot. And Carter,
Yeah.
it's a study thing, but I didn't really enjoy listening to them very much.
You do enjoy listening to them or not?
Not really.
Yeah, well, that's of course the common. I mean, that's what you hear everyone say. It's so hard to find solo timpani anything. I actually really like John Beck has those I think it's 3 episodes, and you have the piano behind you, and you take the lid off so that the piano really responds. It's
I
like,
don't know that. What's that called?
I think it's 3 episodes, or it might be 3 pieces for timpani, or 3 episodes. But it's John Beck Sr.
You played that? Eriko played that.
Yeah. It's and you like play and you like smack, you palm smack the keys, and that's cool, that's fun. But what's really great is the resonance and the you get that in a cool space, and again, it doesn't really solve what we're talking about though, because it's solo timpani only, kind of.
Do you know the piece Rhythm Gradation by Ichiyanagi?
Yes.
That's I think terribly underplayed. It's a really good solo timpani piece. And then there's also Domino 3 or something like that for timpani. But really the Ichiyanagi Rhythm Gradation is super hip. And part of the reason I think it doesn't get played that often is the way it's notated. It's each drum is on its own line. It's not written on a staff. And I think the beams don't actually connect on 8th notes. So it's terribly difficult to read, but it's actually, I think, maybe better than the Carter pieces, and more timpani-esque than Carter.
Yeah. So are you playing a lot of timpani with Eugene?
Yeah, I'm playing some timpani. Not so much with the Eugene Symphony recently, because they hired a new timpanist. But before that, I was subbing with them a lot. But every summer, I've spent about a month playing timpani with the Organ Bach Festival Orchestra.
Yeah.
And usually it takes me 5 days or so to actually get my chops back. But this year it also happened to I couldn't walk, so you see that the soloist coming onto stage, the conductor, and I'm still hobbling behind them on crutches.
Oh no.
It's hard to pedal when you have a big gash in your foot.
Oh, I had to cancel the concert with the many pedal changes. I still did the Brahms and Beethoven.
Yeah, with one leg.
With one leg? Nice.
And a big clap.
I'm playing the most timpani I think I've ever played in my life right now, because we have a faculty recital. We're doing the Bartók Sonata, and I volunteered to do the timpani part instead of the percussion part that I've played before. But yeah, it's pretty killer.
What kind of pedals are you using, Casey?
Those ones that you see there. Those
those are ankle action?
Yeah, the ratchet, the Walter Light ratchet.
So it's ankle, not leg.
It works. I can do it. It's hard though.
Yeah, I for a while when I was learning the Bartok, I had to do it on leg action timpani.
Oh,
It was,
no way. Yeah, that doesn't seem like that
It's a
would work.
mess.
Yeah, I would end up knocking a tooth out. Like my knee would.
Yeah.
I mean, because those go high.
Yeah.
I was going to ask Eriko. You mentioned meditation, and I interviewed Nana in Italy a few episodes ago, and she offered this really cool masterclass about Japanese culture and Shinto Buddhism, and she talked a lot about that in her playing. And I know I feel like you're sometimes very, sometimes this traditional Japanese comes out of you, and I'm just wondering if that is ever part of your thinking and your playing.
Maybe. I don't have a religion, but maybe that's true. For the Buddhism, the being empty your mind and no desire and no forcing is a beautiful thing and the most difficult thing to do as a human. And for the musician, like Pius said earlier, just let music speak. No, we don't do anything. Just let music go and speak. That's like same type of the thing that Buddhism. Like don't do anything, do nothing. That's the important thing.
That's funny. That's very similar to a lot of what she said. So yeah, part of me is wondering how much of this is Japanese culture, how much of it is Buddhist ideas. And I guess something she got across is a lot of Buddhist ideas are really part of Japanese culture and thinking.
For as like strict religious, like they're not religious in Japan, I believe. But we have culture and we have tradition because we have a history, and those are from Buddhism or Shinto, I think.
Yeah. We have a Facebook question for Pius. Let's see. Pius, why do you wear your scarf around in the house?
Because I'm cool.
Oh.
No way, I don't. Just for the video.
Just for the video? Yeah, I love how you just admit it. It's like.
Sure, he does. He has many scarves. Yes, he does.
Yeah. Okay. So you make fun of me for bringing one bag to Taiwan. How many scarves did you bring to Taiwan on that?
4.
Yeah. Just admits it like it's not embarrassing.
Why is it embarrassing? I like my scarves.
Just admits it like it's See that's
more than one broken stick.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that stick has to feel right for that piece. I'm going back,
Oh no! What were they thinking?
You guys should get on board.
Well, you're judging a competition, right?
I think they're doing the competition for the first time ever. So the thing we're talking about is the Ju Percussion, Taiwanese International Percussion Convention. So every couple of years in Taiwan, I think they kind of alternate it between a big concert series. It's this thing on my wall with the big purple 8 back there. That's what Pius, Eriko, and I were on together, along with a lot of other performers. But they kind of alternate years, like big educational year and then a big concert year, and it's just huge. I don't know what to say to everyone out there. You just it'd be great to go to if you can. The concerts are just some of the best things I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
You know I'm going to enter that competition, right?
It would be fun. Yeah.
You vote me out in the first round.
So we'll judge together at PASIC, but I don't think we've ever actually judged together. What? Or have we?
Oh no, we haven't.
Oh, we haven't.
I mean, we have at the same event. I was doing snare drum, you guys were doing marimba, and you had to listen to White Knuckle Stroll 60 times?
That sucked.
Yeah, no, I know. I could hear it through. I'm sure that sucked.
It's awful.
Nobody would want to do that.
You didn't have to.
Yep. All right. Well, probably gonna have to scrap this episode. We'll see. That's probably mostly all right. I'll have to take a look. But thanks for joining us, you guys. It was fun. And I don't know. I'll see you at PASIC. Eriko, are you going to PASIC or are you still undecided?
I am going.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. Well, we'll see you guys there. Megan, thanks so much. Ben, thanks so much. We'll catch you guys on episode 61.
Sounds good. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.